or the indifferent, I would call it negative, I should say the indifferent attitude towards the handicap is for lack of knowledge.
Okay.
And lack of exposure.
Okay.
We have a lot of work to do at the PR level
Right.
to bring the awareness
Yeah.
of what is an handicapped person. We have to see, we even have to go to the point where we have handicapped people go to school.
Yes.
You know, it's a world of its own. It's 10% of the population. I did not know that I was going to be that involved. It's become an emotional thing. It's a burning.
I see you have the bug. That
I have the
Antonio
bug.
and Ben and
I don't know for how long more I can keep that bug. It takes a lot of. It takes a lot of the person.
yes.
And but I have hopes. I have to find a team to bring continuity. Yesterday I met this young lady who is the daughter of a very rich entrepreneur here, and they're going to make some important donation to this place. But I was flabbergasted to see how she was dedicated to do something to help the handicapped. And I said, well, there are people like this out there. I should find more of them.
Yes, that's always.
Because the big thing is not me doing it all. It's making sure I can save the institution. Because all these assets you see here belong to nobody. This building was donated to us by the International Red Cross.
Yes.
They gave us the building and walked out.
Yes.
They left us with no organization. They left us with no working capital. And the day management of this place disappears, it's just the government will just take this building over and they'll make a ministry or anything else about it. I'm sure they will. Well, I should say that they should protect the handicapped. But such a beautiful building, it's very unlikely. In general, they don't keep the nicest thing for the handicaps. It's a prejudice. They don't have a strong voice, etc., etc. So I think now we're trying to build a structure. I was lucky to find Mrs. Bernard here for the management of the place, and she's giving me a very effective backup. It's not always easy, but it works, and we're going to try to do better. Of course, a big institution like this, the real issue is funding.
Yes.
And there we have a problem. And I changed the model from the time you were here. I changed the model. Now we're going at 2 speeds. I have a private speed for private people who have money, and they pay a regular visit. Now, the same treatment I would charge you.
Right.
At least $25 US for a visit here right now, between 20 and 25. But I will give a poor person the same treatment for $1. But it is your $25 that's going to allow us to fund the operation.
You're talking about a patient who has some means or money.
We
could be
evaluate
treated here.
The way it is, when you come here, we tell you the price for the visit between about $20. Now, if you say you don't have the money, you have to go and see the social worker for an evaluation.
Right.
And that walk to the social worker, people of means very often will not want to humbly go and say, I don't have the money, you know? And that's,
lose their pride.
yeah, that's what creates differentiation. It might not work 100% of the time, but if it works 80% of the time, it's worth doing it that way because we have no other choice to generate revenue, but by charging the people
who can afford it.
Now, this morning, as I was in Mrs. Bernard's office, I was talking to a friend of mine who is a big shareholder of a bank, and who had a heart attack, and he had some kind of facial paralysis and needed therapy. And I brought him here for therapy. And I was asking him, how did it go? And he said to me, it went well, and so forth. I must say, he was, I felt very good about it. He told me how he was well received and so forth. But what struck me, he says, you know what? I met quite a few friends when I was there. And when you think that 2 years ago, people of means would never come here. It was a community center for poor people.
Right.
So now our clientele base is changing.
Wow.
It's
That's a big innovation.
It's a big switch, and it's not there yet. If my wife was there, she'd be very bad that I said that. But my wife, of course, she has backaches, and she told me yesterday, "Could I go to Healing Hands?" And I know that before, when she was talking, what are you doing in this place, this community center? Now, guess what? Yes, he's taking care of the people, and so I think it's really it's a great innovation. And also another thing that we're moving away from the concept that we're there for just prosthesis or thesis and therapy. Now we're going to speech therapy.
Yes, you know Karen McKenzie.
Yes,
She's a very good friend of mine, and I introduced her to Healing Hands, and now she's coming twice a year. And
okay.
Yeah.
We're going to speech therapy. We're also going to other programs. It's only money stops us, but we are thinking of a program where we're going to educate the family of handicapped people, because taking care of the handicap and not taking care of his environment, you're not doing anything.
Right.
So we want to create programs where the mother, the brother, the sister of the handicapped can come and understand what it's all about.
Right.
To also improve the environment of the handicapped, we're working in ergotherapy. To somebody who has one arm and who is cooking will not cook the way you would with your two arms.
Of course.
You have to teach them how to use utensils and so forth. So we have such program. The sky is the limit. It's a dream of all the things that could and should be done. We're not there yet, but we're working towards it.
That's an amazing change in a funding model. Do you expect a great percentage of your fiscal needs to be handled by the new patient paradigm? Have you got a target for that?
Let me say to you that when I got here 2.5 years ago, I used to, our executive director at the board at that time was Dr. Zamor.
Yes.
And Richer. And once a month, we had a board meeting on the telephone. And I would hear Richer telling, well, we need you to send us this month $35,000, $38,000, and you had those doctors from Utah, from California, listening to all that. But for me as a Haitian, I felt humiliated. I said, how can we be beggars like this? Every month the guy said, well, what are we doing about it? And I said that to quite a few of my friends. At the last board meeting last April, I told the board that not only we're going to take an active part in generating our revenue and fundraising, but my challenge today, I said, I'll match every dollar you find for me in the United States, I'll find it here. And we're practically at that level.
Wow.
And we're very proud of that, and we're going to continue to do that. But as president of an insurance company, and to know where more or less the system is functioning, I'm now working towards getting the insurance business to send the insured, because this is guaranteed income.
Right.
It's not going fast enough. Even in my own company, I have some kind of resistance. It's amazing to see how those things go, but we're getting there. But one of the things that is happening is that I believe that before 5 years, this place can be self-sustaining by the revenues generating in the private sector. and sustaining for other communities.
In Haiti, the revenues from the private sector in
And the
Haiti.
private sector.
That's a complete shift.
I do believe that within 5 years, and I don't know if I'll still be leading at the time, but
They won't let you go. They won't let you go, Philip.
I think within 5 years we can be self-sustaining.
Mhm.
Run this as a business, and instead of having dividends for shareholders, the dividends will be given to the community for free, or whatever.
The American board, of course, who initiated all this originally 20 years ago, Jeff Randall and all his team and so on, they must be very
Yes.
pleased with this
Well,
shift in.
Jeff is very proud of it because Jeff is the founder, and Jeff came here as a young kid, as a young Mormon,
Yes.
and for Jeff to see this thing getting where it's at, but we must give him credit. If it had been for Jeff,
Oh,
for
for
Steve
sure.
Fisher, for Barry Smith,
Yes.
for guys like this, we would not be where we are today.
Right.
Jim Rhodes,
Yeah.
and yes, but again, what is happening? Jim, Jeff, Steve, myself, or the older generation, we haven't had now a shift on the U.S. side of the younger people.
Mm.
And Steve, those guys are getting tired, and we may find ourselves without a real U.S. board in
Yes.
a matter of 5 years. But us Haitians here, we have to live. We have to save the center.
Yeah.
We have to bring the management into the center. And, our board is 50-50 Haitian, 50-50 U.S. and Canadian.
That's a lot of
And,
progress in the last
Yeah,
5-6 years.
it's a different vision.
Yeah, it is. It is,
Yeah.
definitely. I appreciate that and where it's going, definitely.
Yeah.
Talking about forms of disability, types of disability, we haven't talked about mental health issues. That's a much more complicated.
That's one thing
less-
we're not touching. We're not touching it yet. It's a big thing, and if the organization grows, we could go in that field. I don't think I'll see that, but we'll have to do it someplace else because there's a lot of discrimination, and the handicapped people with motricity problem, they have a lot of social pressure to support. And if over and above that you're mixing them with people with mental problems, I think it could defeat the purpose.
So they are further segregated within the disabled population.
They are
themselves.
ignored.
This is the bottom of the
Yeah,
bottom.
Yeah, this is the bottom of the
Yeah.
I can confirm it's the bottom of the bottom, but it's pretty low.
It's pretty close.
And so I think that we have to very seriously rethink that form of handicap. Mental illness will have to be dealt in a different time.
You mentioned Secretary Oriel, who's still the minister.
No, unfortunately, he's not. Politically, he's no longer.
Is this recent?
That's recent. The government changed.
Because I just had email communication with him. We're going to meet him, but he said, unfortunately, for circumstances, I cannot do an interview. So maybe that's what he was referring to. This the change, because I would love to meet him. He did a lot.
He's a great guy.
He did a lot.
I'll be honest with you. I haven't told him that yet, but I'm letting him take a break, and I'm
Right.
gonna try to bring him to our board. I think he's going to. He's been my good friend for many, many years, and we share the vision. He's a very bright young man. He's
Is he a
been
physician?
No,
No.
he's been a victim of thalidomide.
Wow. Wow.
He's been affected by thalidomide from birth.
But the thalidomide phenomena disaster happened many years ago, and he's not that old, so he was.
Oh, he is 30 years plus.
Okay.
No, he is right in there.
So he was right in that population
Yes,
that
yeah.
where the drug affected him. Yeah. Wow. He did a lot of work. He expanded the government involvement and responsibility for the handicap. This is political, but with him leaving, is that
It's a
changing?
disaster.
Yeah.
It's a disaster. If I had my way, it would still be there. and I think, well, we don't have a permanent government. Right now it's a transitional government.
Yes.
But
Big
definitely for the whichever will be the next government, I don't mind saying that personally. I'll try to lobby to get him back in this job because he understood the job,
Yeah.
he did it well, he's dedicated, and fantastic person.
Are they replacing him with somebody equally competent?
I
or-
don't think that the person who replaced him is an handicapped person.
Okay.
I do not know the person who replaced him. I don't know their talents. I don't know anything.
The government has come a long way in the last 6 years since the earthquake, and even in the last 10 or 15 years, with engagement with rehabilitation issues, the population of the handicap, and so on. There has been progress. There's new laws. There's more accessibility being worked on. It's maybe incremental. Could they be doing more, and what would be the most important thing that they could make a change?
First of all what has been done was been done by Minister Oriol and no one else. Since he left, I haven't heard of anything new or particular being done.
Okay.
And what has been done is so minimal that I do not know that if we really can even talk about
Congratulate
laws
the government or...
But before Minister Oriol, we didn't talk about it. Now it's an issue. Now we have a few parking spots we see for the handicaps. Now we have a law that says that 10% of your working class should be of handicapped people. It's a law that's not being respected, unfortunately. But the law is there. And now they are including special facilities for the handicaps to vote. This was not in the law before. And, so there have been changes there, but it's much more on paper than real.
One of the things that gets a lot of publicity in any society, and in Haiti, is violence, and it's on the news. In April, there was the terrible murder of 3 deaf women in Cabaret, which got a lot of publicity. There was handicap associations speaking out against it, there was demonstrations, etc. A horrible crime. It made the international news. You know, it's only bad things somehow that get out on the news. But this level of publicity about violence against persons with disabilities, do you think that impacts the government?
Okay, I'll be very frank with you. I have not investigated that very well. I've heard of the incident,
Yes.
but I think it was much more an isolated accident than a persecution of the handicaps. This is a country with a lot of superstition.
Right.
And meeting at night, 3 walking ladies, speechless and deaf. They may have assimilated them as zombies and things of that nature.
Tu penses que c'est vrai?
Yeah, I do not think it was something that, if there had been somebody that said, be careful, these are handicapped people, I do not think anything would have happened to them.
But, I mean, I myself have heard, and many people have told me about violence towards handicapped people, coming from fear, from ignorance, from cultural aspects. I mean, the infanticide that happens.
I think really in the case of the 3 ladies, I truly believe it was a zombie issue. It was a thing that they really believed that they were spirits and so forth. I would not make a big issue out of it, although from a media standpoint, it was the type of thing that made a lot of noise.
Right.
Now, yes, I told you about the handicapped girl who sitting in a public transportation would always have an empty seat next to her because people would be afraid that her cut arm touches them. So we do have a lot of that form of discrimination to the point where the public transport, the taxi will not stop for the handicapped because he would not be able to find other clients.
Philip, where does that come from?